next up, we're now moving to the advanced manufacturing side of the talks, and we're moving to one of the companies that Michael had extensively mentioned, which is Rolls-Royce, who have a very significant presence in the nuclear space. And with us today, we've got Gary Wilson. Gary has a very interesting background. He's an electrical engineer and applied economist by training, which I find is a very interesting mix, possibly a very powerful one. His current role includes working with Australian partners to find R&D opportunities for Rolls-Royce in the defense area. I hope I said that correctly. So I hope to learn more about this. Please welcome Gary.
Thanks for the introduction. As Patrick said, I'm the Research and Technology Manager. I'll come forward. Oh, sorry. I thought you wanted me to speak up. Yeah. That's usual. So I'm the R&T Manager. So I come within our defense business. My role is looking for, collaboration opportunities for technologies and products and services. So that's everything that Rolls-Royce Defence does. Because we have a fairly small team in the country, I'm sort of a de facto technology guy for all of Rolls-Royce. So usually when something nuclear related is going on in Australia, it comes through me and I can link you to better people in our company elsewhere. So I've given this slide the title of Updates because last year I spoke at the Nuclear Skills Forum hosted by OmniTanker, and at that time I gave a bit of an overview of what we were doing. And then no sooner had I did that we sort of changed a bit down here. We were doing some sustainment work in collaboration with KBR over at Garden Island. Then our management sort of shifted more towards the US side, and then they wanted to focus us on product. So those guys who were with us at Garden Island have now gone over to KBR, and we have a sort of smaller team of around 15 at the moment supporting our products in the country. So mainly what the defence team here is involved in is gas turbines. So we have like the MT30, which you see down there. Hopefully we'll be going on to the Hunter class in years to come. We also have a range of gas turbines which go onto aircraft from the RAF. And then through Penske Power Systems, we have diesel engines, which go to defence and also a range of civilian applications. So that's roughly what we're doing in the country. So obviously, one of the questions we'll get is, well, what about AUKUS? What does that mean for you in Australia? Our official party line on this one is that it's something for our governments to decide. Rolls-Royce is available, and if we're asked, we're going to support it. But that's all we're able to say at this point, in terms of defence. So that's the AUKUS question out of the way. The other thing, which I think the last time we spoke at the Nuclear Skills Forum, we talked about small modular reactors. So that's still ongoing. So that's investment from the UK government and from Qatar, and we have a couple of other partners in a joint venture. So the goal of that is to have 4 small modular reactors ready by about the end of this decade. At the moment, a lot of that's centered around the UK, but as they get a better understanding of markets, they are looking to sort of expand the supply chain around the world. And so there probably could be opportunities for Australian companies in the years to come. So I guess keep an eye on that one. So that was, the main thing in terms of introductions I wanted to run through. And then the other slide I have, I've sort of stolen from my own website, which is around our space vision. So SMRs is that's looking at, say, a 500 megawatt range of very large power stations, sort of modular ones, which are built in factories and then assembled for large power generation. But our submarines business has a kind of innovation team that looks at ways that we could perhaps employ technology into other fields. So one of the areas that we look at as a company is space. I'm sure there's many people here who attend a lot of space events will know that, for example, Australia is involved in NASA's Moon to Mars program. There's also a UK-Australia space bridge. AUKUS has a bit of a space element. So it's something that comes up a lot, and it seems to turn up a lot in events alongside nuclear. And hence, it's also on my slide. So some of the areas that we've sort of looked at here is microreactors. This is something which the guys in the UK are thinking about. So these would be round about the 5 megawatt kind of range, so smaller scale power sources. But we see them, not just in space, also in land, maybe remote locations. But in the sort of space sector, things like moon exploration or resources mining in space, these sorts of areas we see as being an area where there could be a need for something in that sort of power range. We're also looking at much smaller radioisotope power sources, sort of for thermal or electrical power, I guess in the kilowatt kind of range to supply, probably more realistic for the sorts of satellites that are currently being discussed. So this is another area where we're involved. Also on that slide, there's a few things up there which are not nuclear exactly. So we've got, for example, space launch over to the left. So that's hypersonics. So if there's businesses involved in these kind of fields, we're also, we're looking at those, either using our gas turbines to support space launches, or some of our material capability could come into these kind of high-Mach craft. So the slide is, it's obviously a graphic which the company's put up to show a sort of a vision, but the reason I've sort of chosen to put it up here today is just to explain that Rolls-Royce is doing more than just submarines and the SMRs. We have a range of other areas in terms of space and nuclear that we're interested to, and very happy to talk to other companies that might want to discuss this with us. So yeah, I think that's about all I have, Patrick. I'll probably give you back some time for your agenda. I've covered the most interesting updates, but I'm obviously here if anyone wants to ask any further questions, I'm happy to answer.